14 Habits That Attract Success by Earl Nightingale. Lesson 1. The Power of a Made-Up Mind. Have you ever witnessed the remarkable difference between someone who has truly made up their mind and someone who simply wishes things were different? I've observed this distinction throughout my life, and I can tell you with certainty that a made-up mind possesses a power that few other forces in this world can match. When you truly decide something, really decide, a strange thing happens. The universe begins to cooperate with you. It's as if invisible forces align to help you achieve what you firmly decided upon. This isn't mystical thinking. It's a practical reality that has transformed countless lives. Consider for a moment what happens when you're wavering between choices. Your energy scatters in multiple directions. Your actions lack conviction. You take a step forward, then retreat. This indecision creates a pattern of starts and stops that prevents any meaningful progress. Months and years can pass this way with nothing substantial to show for your efforts. But when you make a genuine decision, when you cross that invisible line in your mind that says, "This I will do, no matter what," everything changes. Your actions naturally align with your decision. You find solutions where before you saw only obstacles. You persevere when others would quit. I've seen people transform their financial situation, health, and relationships within remarkably short periods, once they made up their minds. That's because a made up mind focuses your creative energies on solutions rather than problems. It directs your thoughts toward opportunity rather than limitation. Let me share something that might surprise you. Indecision wastes more time and energy than making the wrong decision. When you make the wrong choice, at least you learn what doesn't work. You gain experience and wisdom. But indecision leaves you exactly where you started, only older and often more frustrated. The tragedy I see daily is good people with tremendous potential who never decide what they truly want. They drift through life, taking whatever comes their way, then wonder why success seems to elude them. Meanwhile, someone with half their natural advantages but a firmly made-up mind races past them toward meaningful achievement. What area of your life has been stalled by indecision? Perhaps it's your career path, a business idea, or a relationship that needs clarity. Whatever it is, recognize that your indecision is costing you more than you realize. It's draining your energy and stealing your future. Today, I challenge you to identify one important decision you've been putting off. Write down all possible outcomes. Consider the pros and cons of each. Then make your choice. Make your choice, not tentatively, but with the full force of your conviction. Set 3 immediate action steps that will begin the journey. The moment you truly decide is the moment your life changes direction. It's when potential begins transforming into reality. A made-up mind creates a power within you that will overcome obstacles that would defeat someone less resolved. This power has always been available to you, waiting only for you to claim it through the simple yet profound act of making a real decision. Lesson 2. The Miracle of Clear Goals. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to move through life with purpose and direction while others drift aimlessly like a boat without a rudder? The difference between these two groups is remarkably simple. One has clear, written goals, and the other does not. Goals are the lighthouses of your life's journey. They stand tall and bright, guiding you through fog and storm, helping you navigate toward your desired destination. Without them, you're simply adrift on the ocean of life, going wherever the currents take you. But there's something almost magical that happens when you put your goals in writing. I call this the miracle of clear goals because the transformation is nothing short of miraculous. A written goal is no longer just a wish or a dream. It becomes a contract with yourself, a tangible target that your mind can focus on with laser, like precision. Did you know that people who write down their goals are 10 times more likely to achieve them than those who merely think about what they want? This isn't just positive thinking. It's a proven fact. When you write something down, you engage both hemispheres of your brain. The physical act of writing accesses your logical, analytical left brain, while visualizing the goal engages your creative, imaginative right brain. Goals work because they give your mind something specific to work toward. Your subconscious mind is like a heat-seeking missile. Give it a clear target, and it will work day and night to help you reach it. But without a clear target, it has nothing to aim for. Most people underestimate the power of this simple habit. They say, "I know what I want. I don't need to write it down." Yet these same people often find themselves wondering why success seems to elude them year after year. The most successful men and women throughout history have been those who knew exactly what they wanted and put those desires in writing. They understood that vague wishes produce vague results, but specific goals produce specific achievements. Your mind responds to clarity. When you define exactly what you want in each area of your life, your work, your relationships, your health, your finances, you program your mind to recognize opportunities that will move you toward those goals. Starting today, take a stack of index cards and write one specific goal on each card for every important area of your life. Make each goal clear, measurable, and dated. Carry these cards with you. Read them each morning when you wake up and each evening before you go to bed. Do this for just 30 days and watch what happens. This simple habit creates what psychologists call structural tension in your mind, a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Your mind naturally works to resolve this tension by moving you toward your goals. Remember, goals aren't just about getting things. They're about becoming the person capable of achieving those things. As you work toward your goals, you'll find that the greatest reward isn't what you get, but what you become in the process. Lesson 3. The 6-inch space between your ears. That mysterious 6 inches between your ears, your mind, is the most powerful tool you'll ever possess. I've studied successful people for decades, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that your mind is your greatest asset. Think about it, friend. Every invention, every building, every fortune, and every achievement began as a thought in someone's mind. Your mind is the factory where all your results are created. The products of this factory, your thoughts, determine the quality of your life more than any external circumstance ever could. You see, most folks look at successful people and assume they were blessed with special advantages. Better education, more money, the right connections. But that's simply not true. The real difference lies in how they use the space between their ears. Take Henry Ford, who had very little formal education. When asked about his success, he said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." Ford understood that thoughts determine actions and actions determine results. Your thoughts are completely within your control, even when nothing else is. You might not control the economy, the weather, or other people's opinions, but you absolutely control what goes on in your mind. This is tremendously good news. It means you possess the master key to changing your life. Now, let me ask you a question. Would you allow someone to put garbage in your living room? Of course not. Yet many people allow all sorts of negative, limiting thoughts to take up valuable real estate in their minds. They worry about things they can't control, dwell on past mistakes, or fill their minds with negative news and gossip. Successful people guard their thoughts as carefully as they guard their most precious possessions. They understand that negative thoughts are like weeds. If not pulled quickly, they'll take over the garden. Starting today, become aware of what you're thinking. When a negative thought appears, recognize it for what it is, just a thought, not a reality. You can choose to replace it with something productive. Remember, your mind is like any other muscle. It grows stronger with use and training. The wonderful truth is this: no matter where you are now, you can improve your circumstances by improving your thinking. A person who thinks confidently will act confidently. A person who thinks abundantly will spot opportunities that others miss. Every day, fill your mind with material that uplifts and educates you. Read books that challenge your thinking. Have conversations that expand your perspective. Ask questions that make you grow. Your mind is like a garden. You can neglect it and let weeds take over, or you can tend it daily, planting seeds of possibility and cultivating ideas that will bear fruit for years to come. The 6 inches between your ears will determine your destiny far more than any external circumstance. Guard it, nurture it, and use it wisely. For when you master your mind, you've mastered your mind, you've mastered the most powerful force for success that exists in this world. Lesson 4. Law of Reciprocity. We live in a universe governed by laws. The law of gravity ensures that what goes up must come down. The law of the harvest guarantees that what we plant, we shall reap. But perhaps no law is more powerful in shaping your destiny than the law of reciprocity. This remarkable law works with mathematical precision in every aspect of our lives. Simply stated, we receive in direct proportion to what we give. The marketplace pays in exact proportion to the value you deliver. No more, no less. This is not philosophy or wishful thinking. It is economic reality. I've observed thousands of successful people throughout my life, and without exception, they understand this principle. The person who becomes invaluable at work is the one who consistently delivers more than expected. The business that thrives is the one that provides exceptional value to its customers. The friend everyone cherishes is the one who gives without keeping score. Think about this. If you put in average effort, deliver average service, or provide average value, why would you expect anything but average returns? The world doesn't owe you success. It exchanges it for value received. Consider the farmer who plants a single grain of corn. Nature doesn't return just one grain. It multiplies it many times over. But first, that grain must be given away, planted in the dark soil where it actually disappears for a time. The farmer who hoards his seed is nothing to harvest. Your talents, ideas, and efforts work the same way. They must be invested before they can multiply. The person who clings tightly to what they have rarely finds abundance. I know a young attorney who, when starting her practice, volunteered countless hours at community legal clinics. While her colleagues questioned this waste of billable time, she understood the law of reciprocity. Within 3 years, her practice flourished, as those she helped became clients or referred others. Her giving created a natural flow of return. Remember this truth: life doesn't respond to what you need or what you want. It responds to what you give. Your income, relationships, and opportunities expand in direct response to the value you create for others. Starting today, look for ways to give more than is expected of you. Surprise your employer with solutions to problems before they ask. Delight your customers with service that goes beyond the transaction. Listen more attentively to your loved ones than they anticipate. The fascinating thing about this law is that it works silently but inexorably in the background of your life. You may not see immediate returns, but like the farmer who trusts in the seasons, your harvest will come. The seeds of extra effort, additional thoughtfulness, and unexpected value always produce a yield. The law of reciprocity isn't just about material success. It brings a sense of fulfillment that the self-centered person never experiences. There's a quiet joy in knowing you've given your best that transcends whatever comes back to you. Make this law work for you by adopting the mindset of a giver rather than a taker. Ask not, "What can I get?" but "What can I get?" But what can I give? Do this consistently, and watch as the universe conspires to bring success into your life. Lesson 5. The Habit of Persistence. Hello, this is Earl Nightingale, and today we're going to discuss one of the most powerful forces in the universe: persistence. Imagine a small stream of water that, over time, can cut through solid rock. That's the power of persistence, and it's available to each one of us every single day. Persistence is simply the quality that allows someone to continue doing something or trying to do something, even when it is difficult or other people oppose it. In my years of studying successful people, I've discovered that persistence is the one quality that stands out above all others. It isn't talent, education, or connections that ultimately determine success. It's the unwavering determination to keep going when everyone else quits. The most fascinating thing about persistence is that it's entirely within your control. You don't need special training or natural ability to be persistent. You simply need to make a decision and stick with it. When Thomas Edison was working on the light bulb, he failed more than 10,000 times before he succeeded. When asked about his failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's persistence in action. Why do most people give up? I've found they quit because they can't see the finish line. They don't realize that most successful endeavors follow what I call the persistence curve. Progress is often slow and difficult at first, with little visible results. This is where most people quit, just before the breakthrough. If they had continued just a little longer, they would have reached the tipping point where momentum begins to work in their favor. Persistence requires faith. Faith in yourself and faith in the process. You must believe that your efforts will eventually bear fruit, even when there's no evidence yet. This faith isn't blind optimism. It's a practical understanding that valuable achievements require time and consistent effort. Here's something remarkable I've observed. Persistent people often succeed where more talented people fail. The world is full of gifted people who never reach their potential because they gave up too soon. Meanwhile, history is written by those who simply refuse to quit. Make persistence a habit by practicing it daily. Choose one goal you've abandoned in the past, perhaps learning a language, building a side business, or improving your health. Restart it with a 30-day commitment. Take at least one small action each day, no matter what. On busy days, your action might be just 5 minutes of effort, but make it non-negotiable. Remember, the oak tree doesn't grow to its magnificent height overnight. It persists through storms, drought, and challenging conditions, growing a little each day until it stands tall and strong. You too can achieve remarkable things through the simple habit of persistence. The question isn't whether persistence works. It always does. The question is, will you persist long enough to see your dreams become reality? Lesson 6. The Hour of Power. Success has a schedule, my friends, and it starts in the first waking hour of your day. I've studied the habits of successful men and women across every field of endeavor, and I've found a common thread that binds these achievers together. They guard and cherish the early morning hours with nearly religious dedication. Your first hour after waking is pure gold. It is the foundation upon which your entire day is built. Just as no wise builder would construct a magnificent building on shifting sand, no wise person would build their day on a foundation of chaos, rush, and distraction. Yet that is precisely what most people do, my friends. They stumble from bed to immediately serve others, checking messages, responding to demands, and reacting to the world's agenda before establishing their own. The most productive people I've ever encountered understand a fundamental truth. You must fill your own cup before you can fill others. When you board an airplane, the flight attendant instructs you to secure your own oxygen mask before helping others. This isn't selfish, it's necessary. You cannot give what you do not have. Your hour of power is this oxygen mask. It's the time when you breathe life into your dreams, your goals, and your best self. This sacred time might include prayer or meditation, physical exercise, reading inspirational material, reviewing your written goals, or quiet contemplation. The specific activities matter less than the devotion to this time as non-negotiable. During this hour, your mind is freshest, your willpower is strongest, and the world's distractions are typically at their minimum. This creates perfect conditions for what I call mental programming, the deliberate direction of your thoughts toward what you wish to become. The average person allows life to program their mind throughout the day, absorbing worries, complaints, fearful news, and limitations. But the successful person does precisely the opposite. They program their own mind first, setting the pattern of thoughts that will carry them through challenges ahead. I once spoke with a highly accomplished business leader who told me, "Earl, I've never had a great day that followed a poor morning." His hour of power included 20 minutes of vigorous exercise, 10 minutes reviewing his top goals and priorities, and 30 minutes of reading biographies, and 30 minutes of reading biographies of great achievers. By the time others are hitting the snooze button, he said, "I've already won the day." Begin tomorrow by rising 30 minutes earlier than usual. Use this time exclusively for yourself, not for catching up on work or household tasks. Read something that inspires you. Sit quietly with your thoughts. Review what you want most from life. Feel gratitude for what you already have. This simple practice, maintained consistently, will transform your productivity and your life. The hour of power isn't about packing more activities into an already busy schedule. It's about creating a space where you direct your mind toward success before the world tries to direct it elsewhere. It's about beginning each day as a creator rather than a reactor. Those who master their mornings master their lives. The choice, as always, is entirely yours. Lesson 7. The courage to begin. Have you ever stood at the edge of a swimming pool on a hot summer day, dipping your toe into the water, testing its temperature? You want to dive in, but something holds you back? The water might be too cold. You might make a splash that draws attention. Perhaps you've forgotten how to swim as well as you once did. So you stand there, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. This hesitation at the water's edge perfectly illustrates why so many people never find success. They plan, they dream, they study, but they never begin. The habit that separates the successful from the merely interested is the courage to start before you feel ready. The simple act of beginning, my friends, is where the magic lies. I've interviewed countless successful men and women across America, and I've discovered they share this common trait. They are starters. They are starters. They understand that a flawed start yields more results than the perfect plan that remains forever in your head. Consider Thomas Edison and his quest for the electric light bulb. Had he waited until he was absolutely certain of success, we might still be reading by candlelight. Edison simply began, failing his way forward through thousands of attempts until he succeeded. The beginning, that first attempt, was the critical moment. The courage to begin is particularly powerful because of what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect. This principle shows that once we start something, our minds become wonderfully obsessed with finishing it. The very act of beginning creates a positive tension in our minds that seeks resolution. You see, your brain doesn't distinguish between a good start and a perfect one. It only knows whether you've started or not. And once you begin, remarkable forces come to your aid. Ideas appear. Helpful people materialize. Resources you didn't know existed suddenly become available. But how do we cultivate this habit of starting? It begins with understanding that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. Successful people feel the same fears you do. The difference is they don't let fear make their decisions. Start small if you must. If writing a book seems overwhelming, commit to writing one paragraph. If building a business intimidates you, make one sales call. If improving your health is the goal, take a 10-minute walk. Remember, a body in motion tends to stay in motion. The momentum created by simply beginning carries you forward in remarkable ways. Every morning when you wake up, ask yourself, what important task am I avoiding? Then, before your doubts can mobilize their forces, take one small action toward that goal. Don't wait for inspiration. Action precedes motivation far more often than the reverse. The world makes way for those who know where they're going, but you must first step onto the path. The courage to begin. To dive into that pool despite your reservations might just be the most important success habit you'll ever develop. Today, not tomorrow, is always the right day to start. Lesson 8. The reward of the extra mile. Have you ever noticed how so few people are willing to go just a little bit further than what's expected of them? This simple habit, going the extra mile, creates more success than almost any other practice I've observed in my years of studying achievement. Think about the last time you received truly exceptional service. Perhaps it was a server who remembered your preferences from a previous visit, or a colleague who stayed late to help you finish a project. That feeling of being impressed stays with you, doesn't it? The extraordinary stands out precisely because it's so rare. Most people do exactly what's required of them. Nothing more and certainly nothing less if they can help it. They arrive at work precisely on time and leave the moment their shift ends. They complete assignments adequately, but without any special touches. They do enough to avoid criticism, but rarely enough to earn praise. But the world rewards excellence. The marketplace pays extraordinary compensation for extraordinary performance. This is as true today as it was 100 years ago, and it will be just as true 100 years ago, and it will be just as true 100 years from now. Going the extra mile means doing more than what's expected. It means arriving a few minutes early and staying a few minutes late. It means adding unexpected touches that delight others. It means looking for ways to contribute beyond your job description. A young person who adopts this habit early in their career will never need to worry about job security or advancement. Their reputation will precede them. Opportunities will seek them out, rather than the other way around. Consider the case of a young man I once knew who worked as a grocery bagger. While other baggers simply placed items in bags, this young man included a handwritten note in each customer's bag, thanking them for shopping at the store. Within 6 months, lines would form at his register, even when others were empty. The store manager noticed. The district manager noticed. And soon this young man was on an accelerated path to management. The habit of going the extra mile works because it separates you from the crowd. In a world where mediocrity is the standard, excellence stands out dramatically. People notice, they remember, and most importantly, they tell others. This habit also builds your character in powerful ways. When you consistently do more than you're paid to do, you begin to see yourself differently. You'll begin to see yourself differently. Your self-image improves. Your confidence grows. You begin to think of yourself as the kind of person who excels, who stands out, who makes a difference. Starting today, look for opportunities to go beyond what's expected. If you're asked to submit a 5-page report, make it 6 pages and include helpful visuals. If your job requires you to make 10 sales calls daily, make 12. If you normally spend 30 minutes preparing for a meeting, spend 45. The rewards won't always be immediate, but they will be certain. Nature is neutral. It returns exactly what you put in, plus interest. Plant the seeds of extra effort consistently, and you'll harvest a bounty of success that the average person will never experience. Going the extra mile isn't complicated, but it is rare. Make it your habit, and watch how quickly success is attracted to you. Lesson 9. The compound effect of small habits. Have you ever watched a master sculptor at work? With tiny, seemingly insignificant taps of the chisel, day after day, something magnificent emerges from raw stone. Success works the same way, my friend. It's rarely the result of one giant leap, but rather the accumulation of small, consistent actions performed daily. This is what I call the compound effect of small habits. Just as money compounds in a bank account over time, so do our daily habits compound to create our destiny. The actions that seem too small to matter are precisely the ones that matter most. Consider the simple habit of reading 10 pages of a good book each day. It seems trivial, doesn't it? Just 10 pages. But maintain this small habit, and by year's end, you'll have read approximately 3,650 pages. Add 12 to 15 substantial books. Think about the knowledge, wisdom, and ideas you'd accumulate. That's more books than most Americans read in 5 years. Or take the habit of saving just $5 per day. Again, it seems insignificant. But with compound interest over 30 years, that small daily habit becomes a fortune. Small amounts, consistently applied, create remarkable results. The trouble is, most people discount the value of these tiny actions. They want immediate, dramatic results. When they don't see them, they abandon the habit, never allowing the compound effect to work its magic. Remember this truth: little hinges swing big doors. The most successful people I've studied throughout my career understand this principle intuitively. They focus not on home runs, but on consistently getting on base. They trust the process and let time work for them rather than against them. Here's what's fascinating. This principle works both ways. Negative habits compound just as reliably as positive ones. Skipping exercise once seems harmless. Eating poorly for one meal appears inconsequential, but these small negative choices, repeated daily, lead to poor health, low energy, and diminished results. Let me share a powerful technique, the habit stacking method. Choose one small positive habit and attach it to something you already do daily. For instance, after you brush your teeth each morning, existing habit, do 10 push-ups. New habit, do 10 push-ups. New habit, by connecting the new habit to an established one, you dramatically increase your chances of success. Another technique is environment design. Make good habits obvious and easy while making bad habits invisible and difficult. Want to eat more fruit? Keep a bowl of it on your counter. Want to watch less television? Unplug it and put the remote in a drawer. Habits are not installed, but cultivated. They require patience and persistence. If you miss a day, simply return to the habit the next day without self-judgment. Consistency, not perfection, is your aim. The wonderful news is that once established, good habits operate automatically, without requiring willpower or conscious effort. They become part of who you are rather than something you do. And that, my friend, is when the compound effect truly accelerates. So ask yourself, what small, positive habit can I begin today that my future self will thank me for? Then start small, remain consistent, and watch as the compound effect transforms your life day by day. Lesson 10. The courage to begin before you're ready. In my years of studying successful people, I've discovered one trait that separates the achievers from the dreamers. It isn't intelligence, talent, or even luck. It's something much simpler yet profoundly more powerful. The courage to begin before feeling fully prepared. Most people are waiting. They're waiting for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, or that magical feeling of complete readiness. They tell themselves, when I have more experience, or after I get one more certification, or once I feel more confident, then they'll take action on their dreams. But here's the truth, my friend. That perfect moment will never arrive. The successful people I've encountered throughout my life understood that readiness is a myth. They knew that the path to mastery begins with taking action while still feeling uncertain. Consider this. If you wait until you're completely ready to begin something important, you'll never begin at all. Life has a way of expanding to fill the space we give it. The more we delay, the more reasons we find to keep delaying. Let me share something remarkable with you. When you start before you feel ready, your mind shifts from a state of contemplation to a state of action. This shift creates momentum, and momentum is the closest thing we have to mandem. And momentum is the closest thing we have of achievement. Think about learning to swim. You can read books about swimming techniques, watch instructional videos, and listen to experts discuss proper form. But until you actually get in the water, you haven't begun to learn swimming. And initially, you'll struggle. You'll feel awkward and uncoordinated. This is precisely how growth happens. The same principle applies to any worthwhile endeavor. The novelist who waits for inspiration never writes a book. The entrepreneur who waits for perfect market conditions never launches a business. The artist who waits for mastery never creates a masterpiece. What's truly fascinating is what happens when you embrace this habit of beginning before you're ready. You develop a powerful skill called comfort with discomfort. You train yourself to function effectively while feeling uncertain. This ability becomes invaluable in every area of life. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking action despite the fear. When you begin before you're ready, you're demonstrating true courage. You're saying to life, I may not have all the answers, but I'm willing to find them along the way. The miracle happens in the doing. As you take those first uncertain steps, solutions appear that weren't visible from where you stood before. Doors open that you couldn't see. Resources materialize that weren't previously available. So tomorrow morning, identify one important goal you've been postponing until you feel ready. Then take one small action toward it. Not next week, not when circumstances improve, but tomorrow. Make a call you've been avoiding. Write the first paragraph of that book. Register for that class. Submit that application. The habit of beginning before you're ready is the secret weapon of achievers everywhere. It transforms dreamers into doers. It converts potential into results. And most importantly, it turns ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Lesson 11. Your environment of success. We are the product of our surroundings, my friend. That's the simple yet profound truth I want to share with you today. The environment you choose to immerse yourself in shapes your thoughts, influences your decisions, and ultimately determines your success. Consider this. Have you ever noticed how your energy changes when you walk into a clean, organized room versus a cluttered, chaotic one? Or how differently you think when surrounded by positive, ambitious people rather than complainers and cynics? This is no coincidence. Your mind absorbs your environment like a sponge. Every sight, sound, and interaction registers in your consciousness and subtly molds your thoughts. And as we know, you become what you think about most of the time. The successful person understands this principle and deliberately engineers their surroundings to support their goals. They recognize that environment isn't just about physical spaces. It encompasses the people you spend time with, the information you consume, and the conversations you engage in. Let's talk about the people in your life. Jim Rohn wisely observed that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Look around at your inner circle. Do they inspire you to reach higher, or do they pull you toward mediocrity? Do they challenge your thinking or merely reinforce your limitations? The truly successful individual is selective about their associations. They seek out mentors and peers who have achieved what they aspire to. They participate in conversations that expand their thinking rather than restrict it. They understand that enthusiasm, like fear, is contagious, and they choose which contagion to expose themselves to. Now consider your physical spaces, your home, your workplace, your automobile. These are not merely places but influential forces in your life. Clutter in your physical space creates clutter in your mental space. Disorder around you promotes disorder within you. Take a moment to look at your desk. Is it arranged for maximum efficiency and focus? Or is it a monument to postponed decisions and unfinished business? The state of your surroundings reflects and affects the state of your mind. What about the information you feed your mind? In this age of constant connectivity, we must be vigilant gatekeepers of our mental diet. News programs designed to provoke fear, mindless entertainment, and negative social media can devastate your positive thinking efforts. Instead, fill your mental space with materials that educate, inspire, and align with your goals. Books, podcasts, and conversations that challenge you to grow are investments in your success. Starting today, become intentional about creating an environment of success. Clean and organize your primary workspace. Evaluate your 5 closest associations. Audit your information intake. Then make bold changes where necessary. Remember, your environment isn't something that happens to you. It's something you choose. And in choosing environments that support your highest aspirations, you set powerful forces in motion that will carry you toward the success you desire. Your environment is either working for you or against you. There is no neutral ground. Choose wisely, for as you shape your environment, it inevitably shapes you. Lesson 12. The Power of Positive Association. Success, my friends, doesn't travel alone. It moves in the company of those who recognize it, nurture it, and ultimately embody it. The people with whom we choose to associate have perhaps the most profound influence on our lives, an influence far greater than most of us realize or care to admit. Let me share something I've observed throughout my years of studying successful individuals. They are incredibly selective about their associations. Like iron that becomes magnetized when aligned with a magnetic field, human beings become attuned to the dominant thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors of those with whom they regularly associate. This is not mere opinion. It's a natural law as certain as gravity. When you consistently surround yourself with people who are positive, goal-oriented, and successful, you will find yourself naturally adopting these same characteristics. Conversely, spend your days with negative, aimless individuals and watch how quickly their patterns become your own. Consider your 5 closest associates. Their combined attitudes, incomes, and lifestyles will, with remarkable accuracy, reflect your own. This isn't coincidence. It's the power of association at work. Success leaves clues, and those clues are most readily found in the company we keep. The truly successful person understands this principle and acts upon it with intention. They seek out mentors who have already achieved what they aspire to accomplish. They participate in mastermind groups where ideas are exchanged and refined. They read books and listen to recordings by great thinkers. In essence, they create an environment where success becomes the expected outcome rather than a pleasant surprise. Now, I'm not suggesting you abruptly end long-standing relationships. Rather, I encourage you to be more conscious about how you allocate your most precious resource, your time. Begin spending more of it with those who inspire you to rise, to grow, to become more than you currently are. Make it a daily habit to connect with positive influences. This might mean a phone call with a mentor, coffee with a successful colleague, or simply time spent reading the biography of someone you admire. These connections act as fuel for your journey toward success. Be equally vigilant about limiting exposure to negative influences. The news, pessimistic coworkers, and chronic complainers can drain your energy and cloud your vision. Remember, what you allow into your mind determines what ultimately comes out of your life. There's a wonderful old saying, if you want to soar with eagles, you can't scratch with turkeys. The imagery is perfect. Eagles soar above the landscape, seeing opportunities from a higher perspective. They're selective, purposeful, and free. Choose to associate with eagles. Start today by making a simple list. Write down the names of 5 people who inspire you to be your best self. People who challenge you, encourage you, and believe in your potential. Now commit to increasing your time with these people over the next 30 days. Watch what happens to your thinking, your actions, and ultimately your results. Your associations will shape your future. Choose them wisely, and success will find a natural home in your life. Lesson 13. The courage to begin again. Life, my friends, is a series of new beginnings. The truly successful among us understand a fundamental truth that separates winners from the masses. The ability to begin again, regardless of past failures or setbacks, is perhaps the greatest skill you can develop. I've met men and women from all walks of life who have achieved remarkable success, and I can tell you with certainty that not one of them reached their destination on the first try. What distinguished them was not an absence of failure, but their response to it. When knocked down, they stood up, dusted themselves off, and began again, often with greater wisdom than before. Consider the story of a young newspaper editor who was fired because, as his boss put it, he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. That young man could have accepted this judgment and settled for less. Instead, he began again, eventually creating a cartoon character named Mickey Mouse. Walt Disney understood what most do not, that each failure contains the seeds of equivalent advantage if we have the courage to plant them anew. Every day presents us with a clean slate, a fresh opportunity to begin. The sun rises on the just and unjust alike, offering its gift of a new day regardless of what came before. This remarkable reset button is available to each of us without discrimination, yet so few take advantage of it. When you stumble or fall short of your expectations, resist the temptation to berate yourself needlessly. This serves no constructive purpose. Instead, ask yourself, what lesson can I extract from this experience? How can I begin again, but wiser? This simple shift in perspective turns seeming failures into valuable stepping stones. The habit of beginning again requires 3 essential elements that you must practice daily. First, forgiveness. Primarily of yourself. Holding on to past mistakes creates a weight too heavy to carry forward. Second, flexibility, the willingness to adjust your approach based on new information. And third, faith, not necessarily religious, but an unwavering belief that your efforts will eventually bear fruit. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between actual experience and vividly imagined experience. When beginning again, visualize your success in rich detail. See yourself overcoming obstacles with confidence. Feel the satisfaction of progress. This mental rehearsal prepares both mind and spirit for the journey ahead. Many people abandon worthy goals after encountering the first significant obstacle. They mistakenly interpret temporary defeat as permanent failure, but in the grand tapestry of life, these setbacks are merely individual threads in a larger pattern. The ability to begin again transforms these threads from disruptions into distinctive features of your unique design. Each morning, when you open your eyes, say these words aloud. Today I begin again. Let this simple declaration reset your mental compass and direct your thoughts toward possibility rather than limitation. For it is in these continuous fresh starts that we find our greatest opportunities for growth. The habit of beginning again isn't merely about resilience. It's about recognizing that life itself operates in cycles of renewal. The most successful people align themselves with this natural rhythm rather than fighting against it. They understand that there is no shame in starting over, only in refusing the opportunity to do so. Lesson 14. The quiet power of self-discipline. Self-discipline is success's silent architect, working behind the scenes to build the magnificent structure of your life. As we near the completion of our journey together, I want to share with you one of the most profound truths I've discovered in my years of studying successful people. Self-discipline is the master key that unlocks every door to achievement. What exactly is self-discipline? It's simply doing what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. It's the ability to direct yourself to take appropriate action regardless of your emotional state. The most successful people in any field aren't necessarily the most talented, they're the most disciplined. Think about this. Every morning you have a choice. You can choose the path of least resistance, hitting the snooze button, postponing your important tasks, indulging in distractions, or you can choose the path of discipline, rising early, tackling your most challenging work first, and following through on your commitments. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of these daily choices. Self-discipline allows you to trade immediate pleasure for long-term success. It's the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Many people set wonderful goals, but without the discipline to follow through, these dreams remain forever on the horizon, never to be reached. I've observed that self-discipline operates much like compound interest in your personal development. Small, consistent actions may not seem significant on any given day, but over time they create tremendous results. The daily habit of reading just 10 pages, saving a small percentage of your income, or practicing a skill for 15 minutes doesn't transform your life overnight. But after a year, 5 years, or a decade, the difference becomes extraordinary. You can develop this habit starting today. Begin by identifying one area where increased discipline would significantly improve your results. Perhaps it's your health, your work habits, or your personal relationships. Choose one specific action you'll commit to performing daily, regardless of convenience or mood. It might be walking for 30 minutes, completing your most important task before checking email, or actively listening to your loved ones without distraction. Self-discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. There will be days when you falter, when the path seems too difficult. What separates the successful from the unsuccessful? What separates the successful isn't the absence of failure, but the response to it. When you miss a day, simply begin again the next morning without self-condemnation. The beautiful secret about self-discipline is that it becomes easier with practice. What begins as a conscious, sometimes difficult choice gradually transforms into a natural habit. The voice of resistance grows quieter. The path that once seemed steep becomes level ground beneath your feet. As you cultivate self-discipline, you'll discover an unexpected gift. Freedom. True freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you feel like in the moment. It comes from building the life you truly desire through consistent, purposeful action. Self-discipline gives you control over your time, your health, your finances, and ultimately, your destiny. Starting today, embrace the quiet power of self-discipline. It will carry you further than talent, luck, or opportunity ever could. It is the foundation upon which all lasting success is built. Lesson 15. The magnificent adventure ahead. Now you stand at the threshold of a magnificent adventure. You have reached the final lesson of our journey together, but in truth, this marks not an ending but a beginning. For the 14 habits we've explored are not merely concepts to be studied, but principles to be lived. Life, my friend, is the grandest adventure any of us will ever know. And unlike the explorers of old, who ventured across uncharted seas with only stars to guide them, you now possess something far more valuable: a reliable map for success. Think about it. Most people wander through their days hoping that success will somehow find them. They wake up, go through their routines, and drift along like leaves in a stream, carried wherever the current takes them. But you are different now. You understand that success is not something that happens to you, but something you deliberately attract through your thoughts, decisions, and habits. The question before you is beautifully simple. What will you do with what you now know? Knowledge without action is merely information that passes through your mind like water through a sieve. But knowledge, transformed into daily habits, becomes the foundation upon which extraordinary lives are built. I've shared with you what I've observed in the most successful men and women across generations. These 14 habits are not theoretical. They are practical tools that have been proven time and again to attract success as certainly as the law of gravity keeps our feet firmly on the ground. Success leaves clues. When you see someone achieving remarkable results in any field, you can be certain they are applying these principles, whether consciously or not. The wonderful news is that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The path has been walked before you. The trail has been blazed. All that remains is for you to follow it with determination and persistence. Begin today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but this very moment. Select just one of these habits and commit to practicing it daily until it becomes as natural as breathing. Then add another and another and another. Within months, you'll scarcely recognize the person you've become. The world makes way for those who know where they're going. It opens doors for those who approach life with purpose and direction. As you implement these habits, you'll notice opportunities appearing that were invisible to you before. People will respond to you differently. Circumstances will align in ways that seem almost magical, though there's nothing magical about it. It's simply the natural result of aligning yourself with the laws that govern success. Take this knowledge and use it. Let it transform not just your circumstances, but your very being. For in the end, the greatest reward is not what you get, but what you become. The journey of personal growth is the richest adventure life offers. The pearl of great price is now in your hands. Guard it well, use it wisely, and watch as your life transforms before your very eyes. The magnificent adventure of your ideal life awaits you. Step forward boldly and claim it.